Hi, everybody in the B2 class on Tuesday. How are you guys? You guys are doing a really good job of doing all your homework and sending it to me. I'm so proud. It's so amazing. So another thing, don't worry if you haven't sent me the work for week 2, which was last week. You still have time. So can you just do that as soon as possible? Well, as soon as you can, okay? There's no rush. I just don't want you to forget about it. And second of all, next week we don't have class, okay? So there won't be any videos on Tuesday and Thursday because the teachers need a holiday for Easter. But in that time, I would like you to do any work that you didn't give me yet. And I'll be posting on WhatsApp some different things that can help you with your speaking and your listening skills, okay, guys? And also to prepare for the B2 exam. All right, so today we're going to practice a little bit of listening. What I'd like you to do is to take out your book and turn to page 80. So this page, okay, guys? Page 80. What I'm going to do is ask you a couple of questions, and you need to write those questions in your notebook and show me later, okay? So it says, getting started. What do you think is the most talked about sport in your country and why? I can probably guess it's probably football, but I also know that here cycling is a big thing as well. What do you guys think is the most talked about sport in your country, in Spain, and why? Or what about the most talked about sport in Galicia? Do you have a difference between the most popular national sport and the most popular regional sport? Let me know. Okay, we're going to practice part 1 of the listening, which is here, okay? So you have 8 different situations, 8, okay? You need to listen to 8 short extracts and choose letter A, B, or C, okay? So what we're going to do is I'm going to read them. Normally, what happens is you hear number 1 and then you hear number 1 again. You hear number 2, you hear number 2 again. You hear number 3, you hear 3 again. But because we're doing this through a video, I'm just going to read everything one time. And it's your responsibility after the first listening to pause it and go back and listen. For example, I read the extract for number 1. After number 1, you stop it and you go back and you listen only to number 1. I read 2, you go back and you listen only to number 2. So it's kind of the same as an exam task, okay? I'm going to give you guys about 1 minute now. Really, 1 minute, okay? Don't take longer. And you need to read only the questions, okay? Only questions 1 to 8 and underline important words. So pause the video now, underline important words in the questions 1 to 8, and then after, we'll start the listening, okay? All right, so I assume that you have paused the video and you have read the questions, and you can also look at the answers if you have time as well, but it's just important to look at the questions so you know what the topic is, okay? One tip, be very careful with this listening. You need to listen to the whole extract for that question before you circle your answer, because this exercise wants to trick you. Sometimes they mention something from A, they mention something from B, they change their mind, they do C. They mention lots of different things, so be careful, okay? All right. Another thing I'm going to mention before I start is they have different voices because there's 2 people speaking. So I'm going to do my best to do different voices, so don't laugh, all right? So, ready? Listening part 1. Number 1. You hear 2 friends talking about sport. Do you fancy doing something after school? We're having a game of basketball in the park. Okay, but I have to warn you that I'm a hopeless player. You can't be that bad. I heard you were quite good, actually. Well, I might have been once. I did play for my local team a couple of years ago, but I haven't played for ages. Well, don't worry. It's not a proper match. It's just a bit of fun with a few friends. Anyway, who knows? You might get back to your old form. Okay, why not? Number 2. You hear a professional tennis player talking on the radio. All people ever ask me is whether I'll be ready to play at Wimbledon this year. It's the one championship event I don't want to miss. Any player would feel the same. I also feel that I'm ready for the challenge of Wimbledon, and I'm confident that I can match the level of the top players, but I might not have the chance. Whether I'll even get onto the courts or not really depends on my injured wrist. If I have to miss the event to get back to 100% form, then that's what I'll have to do, but it's such a tough decision to make. Number 3. You hear a man talking about football. What I really enjoy is the incredible atmosphere during a match. You can feel it in the crowd as they watch the players on the pitch. It's hard not to get excited along with the fans, but when someone scores, but I have to be professional and just describe what's happening. I must say that I like to think I can be quite impressive on the pitch myself, if I have the chance of a game with my mates. But it's great to see someone with such professional skill that they can use it to entertain others. Number 4, you hear a mother talking to a friend. If you ask me, the whole thing's designed to get young people to spend their money, or even worse, their parents' money. Well, every time my son disappears into a shop selling sports clothes with designer labels, my heart sinks. Everything's so expensive and I can't see that the clothes and trainers are that much different from what you can buy without the label. You're right. Everything falls to pieces sooner or later anyway. Must be the way it's designed, I'm sure. I blame advertising. If it wasn't for those advertisements, you wouldn't even know what you're supposed to be wearing. Number 5, you hear an advert for a canoeing holiday. If you don't like lying on a beach doing nothing, then Swedish canoeing holidays might be for you. You don't need to be an expert canoeist, although it might be easier if you've done a bit of canoeing before. With young people of a similar age, you can canoe around the numerous islands which surround Sweden. You can spend as long as you like exploring and camping, and they have such stunning scenery and wildlife. So if you're the outdoor type and fancy something out of the ordinary, ring for a brochure now. Number 6, you hear a woman talking about a new sports stadium. This was quite a nice area until they built this huge stadium. We never had to worry about parking. Now every weekend, and even during the week too, there's nowhere to park and it can get very noisy, especially if there's a late night event. I know these places are necessary and they do have all kinds of different events there, not just sport, but the benefits for the local people aren't great. It's so difficult to get tickets for anything and they're expensive. They ought to give local people priority, but no. So we have all the inconvenience and no advantages. Number 7, you hear a man talking about motorbikes. I'd always wanted a motorbike, so when my parents bought a large farm, we bought one. I thought it might be great for traveling round and ride to fun, but I didn't realize the ground was quite so hilly in places, and I didn't feel very confident about using it on steep slopes. They say the bikes are safe, but they shouldn't make statements like that. Motorbikes are different from cars. They respond quickly. Anyway, one day I was riding up a difficult hill when it suddenly tipped over. Luckily, I wasn't badly hurt, but I might easily have been killed. I sold the bike quite soon after that, and I've never been on one since. Number 8, you hear a teacher talking about sport. I am a great believer that all young people should do sports. It's great physical exercise, but that's not the only point in my opinion. A lot of people object to sport because they think it's too competitive, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. It just has to be managed properly. I think it's one of the few things that helps young people to work together and rely on each other rather than just on themselves. This can be such a useful thing in adult life, and often the people who aren't successful in their life are those who didn't enjoy sports when they were younger. Okay guys, so the listening's done. You need to choose the correct answer for each one, A, B, or C, and I hope that you listened to each extract twice. Don't listen to it more than twice because in your exam you can only listen 2 times, and if you listen more than twice now, it's not going to help you at all. I mean, it might help you to understand better, but in your exam you're not going to have time to do that, so don't do it when you practice. Okay? Now we're done with the listening, and we're going to practice a little bit of writing. Okay? I know that the next page says speaking. But we can't do that. So we're going to do it in the form of writing. And hopefully in your houses, you can practice the speaking. I know it sounds crazy, but you can actually speak into your phone microphone what you want to say and then go back and listen to it. And then you can hear how you talk and you're more self-aware, okay? Also, another option is every day from 6 to 7, Monday to Friday, we put on our website that the teachers are available to talk on Skype for 10, 20 minutes. So if you did want to practice your speaking, I'm available on Skype from 6 to 7 in the evening, every evening, Monday to Friday. And I'm just waiting for any students with questions or who wants to practice their speaking. So if you're interested in that, write to me on WhatsApp and I can give you my Skype name and we can practice some speaking parts if you're interested in that, okay? So what I'd like you to do now is have a look at number 4. It says, well, we've got 4 questions. It says, do you like being physically active or do you prefer to relax in your free time? Why? 2, do you think people who do sport are happier or healthier than those who don't? Number 3, do you think sport should have an important role in our society? Why or why not? And 4, what do you think is the most important thing in sport, winning or taking part, and why? So you don't need to write a lot, maybe 1 or 2 sentences, probably 2 sentences for each one, just telling me your opinion about these questions, okay? The next thing we're going to do is go to page 81, the next page where it says speaking, okay? We are not going to do so much of this. I'm trying to think of a good way to do the speaking. I don't know. If you have any ideas about how you would prefer to do the speaking, let me know. You could also record an activity like in part 2 on WhatsApp or just on the recorder and send it to me and I could correct you. That might be an option. You tell me what you think. I'm open to any ideas, okay? Before we do page 81, I have got some questions for you as well, just to think about them. You don't need to write them down. Number 1, is there anything you need to cut down on at the moment? Do you remember we did this a while ago? I told you that I need to cut down on Nutella because I eat so much Nutella. I don't eat it actually that much anymore because I cut down on it. I stopped. Actually, I didn't cut down on it. I completely cut it out. I stopped Nutella because I think it's not really that healthy. But is there something I need to cut down on at the moment? I should probably cut down on using my mobile before I go to bed. That's something, it doesn't always need to be food. What about you? Is there something that you need to cut down on at the moment? What about number 2? Is there anything you want to cut out completely in your life? So I cut out Nutella completely, okay? I eliminated it from my life. And are there any new sports you want to take up? Do you remember this verb? We did these phrasal verbs before, but I'm not sure if you remember. For me, I'd really like to take up, actually, I don't know, there's sports, maybe, I always wanted to do basketball because I really like it, but I'm horrible at basketball, but I always wanted to be good. So that's something I wanted to take up, but probably won't. Okay, what about you guys? What do you think? If you want, you can write your answers down and let me know, but you can also just think about them, okay? We're going to do numbers, let me just check, 1, 3, and 4. Okay, so yes, 1, 3, and 4. All right, guys, so in number 1, it says, match the words and phrases below to the photographs in example 4. So here, you got 2 photographs. Remember, this is part 2. This is where you don't describe the photographs, you compare and contrast them. What is similar? What is different? That's it, okay, for 1 minute. So in number 1, match the words and the phrases below to the photographs. Pause the video now and do number 1, and then come back and we'll do it together. Okay, so now that you've paused the video, number 1 says outdoors. That's probably this photo. Junk food. It's probably this photo because it's McDonald's. Homemade. It's probably this photo because it looks like they made the food in their house at their home. Fun. I don't know, it could be both. Unhealthy, probably this one. Traditional, probably this. Nutritious, probably this. And hanging out, it could be both, but maybe hanging out is kind of more for friends or teenagers, okay? So what I'd like you to do now is have a look at number 3. This is useful language. Listen and complete the sentences from the extract. So we're not going to listen to the extract, but I want you guys to, there was an extract that you would have listened to, but we didn't. And you have some vocabulary from that extract that we didn't listen to. So in contrast, both photos show, one difference is in the other picture, whereas, remember, in this picture, they're eating junk food. Whereas in this picture, they're eating healthy food, okay? You have 5 different phrases or expressions, I guess. And what I'd like you to do is put them in the correct part here, 1, 2, 3, or 4. Okay, and then we'll do it together. So pause the video, do number 3, and then we'll do it together. Okay, so now that you've paused it and you're done, number 3, we're going to go over number 3 together. So 1 says, both photos show people together eating food. You're comparing both photos. You're saying what's similar about the photos. Number 2, what can you say? I don't know. In contrast, there's a family sitting around a table. In contrast to this picture. Number 3, one difference is that in the first picture, they're eating junk food, whereas in the other one, they're having a traditional home-cooked food, you could say. And 4, in the other picture, the group of friends are away from family, okay? So, I mean, they don't necessarily go in those spaces. There are lots of different options, but those are some examples. These phrases are really important for part 2 of the exam, okay? So, using these phrases, I would like you to write a small paragraph, not a long paragraph, maybe 5 lines, 6 lines, okay? So I'm going to sneeze. Sorry, I have really bad allergies. Okay, not a virus. Anyway, what I'd like you guys to do is write a small paragraph, maybe 5 or 6 lines, comparing and contrasting the photos with your own ideas. Don't copy this. Think of your own ideas. Use these expressions. Maybe one expression for each, for the photos for each line, maybe. One expression for each line sounds like a good idea. Yeah, and don't worry about B. Don't look at B, okay? Just compare and contrast these photos. Write maybe 6 lines using these phrases. Okay, guys? So I believe that is all for today. No, it's not all for today. There's something else that I need to tell you. Every week, now that we've been doing these online classes, we have a small competition that we're doing. Which is, I don't know if you've seen Will's video talking about something to do with the competition from last week, which was, I forgot to tell you, so sorry we didn't do it, but last week there was a competition, my daily routine during the crisis, kind of like what you do every day during quarantine. This week, the competition is, after all this is over, I'm going to, So you need to only write 2 sentences or 3 sentences, or even just 1 sentence, saying what you're going to do when all of this is over, when the crisis is finished, and send in 1 or 2 photos. Okay, so this is what you need to include. Hang on. After all this is over, I'm going to... So you write this, basically. Okay, and you continue it, and you say what you're going to do. I said, after all this is over, I'm going to travel to Colombia with my family, and I sent a picture in. I already did send a picture of me in Colombia, which was cool. So we're genuinely interested in your life, and it's just for a bit of fun during the crisis to see what everybody's up to and what you guys are all thinking about. Okay. One more thing I completely forgot as well. If you're looking for extra work, I know you're probably not, but maybe your parents want you to work a little bit more, or maybe you are self-motivated and you want to do some more work, especially next week that we don't have class, and you want to keep up your English level, go on the English School website, and there's a little pop-up screen, and towards the bottom, there are extra resources and Cambridge exam tasks and things like that. It's pretty self-explanatory. It's in Spanish, okay? So you guys, you can't get lost. Click on that link and there will appear lots of different activities to do, okay? If you are lost though, if you have any questions, ask me and I'll resolve your problems, okay? Okay guys, see you on Wednesday? No, on Thursday. Okay, bye.